Welcome to our first ICFB STAR Entertainment show. Tonight we have Brandywine, a singer-songwriter from Seattle, and we're going to be finding out some background about her music, and then we're going to find out a little bit more about Brandy and what entertains Brandy. So it should be a fun interview. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Brandywine, for being part of this, and thank you, Marco of Fear Escape, for producing us from Italy. All right. So the first question, Brandy, tell us a little bit about how Brandywine was born.
Oh, goodness. Myself, I was in music ever since I was young. My father was a frontman in a band, so I got hauled up on stage at a very young age. Possibly not legally, but we can leave that part out, and got the performance bug, as it were. Performing is a huge adrenaline rush for me. So from that point on, I was pretty much in everything I could get my hands on. Show choirs, orchestra, band. I helped do music education stuff in the schools when I graduated as a teacher's assistant for a while. I did competitive karaoke competitions. And then I got suckered into my first wedding band, and it evolved from there. After a while, I got tired of singing other people's music and decided I wanted to take a stab at it myself. And that initially took the form of a few other bands, the Scrapes, the Girls. And then initially in 2001, I decided I was going to do a solo side as well, and that became Brandywine. Kind of a spin-off of my own name. And then the wine was just, kind of a drink of choice. So I was like, why not? So went, and it just took off from there. Everybody seemed to like the name, and I just stuck with it.
So is it red or white? I have to ask.
For me, it's fake wine. I like dessert wines. So German Rieslings, Moscatos,
Nice.
Anything sweet I love. Although, I do like a good cab with a steak now and then. But for the most part, if I'm going to use the calories, I usually want something sweet. So
I'm with you there. Okay, so what makes you so passionate about the music industry? What drives you?
The biggest thing I'm going to say is probably education with music. When I was growing up, I didn't have the best childhood. And my music was really my escape and my safe place. Mm-hmm. And I see nowadays more and more with music and the arts being pulled out of schools, and these kids no longer having a way to express themselves or discover who they are, and having that place to vent and to grow. So I really do push trying to help promote music in schools and just using music as medicine, trying to help people heal and connect with one another through it. Sorry, I apparently have not had enough coffee yet today.
Well, have another cup. Those are really noble ideas, Brandy. Thank you very much for sharing that. So do you also help the kids and people to be able to learn how to write their own songs, or do you strictly focus on the education of cover tunes?
No, I do try to help others. I try not to push too hard, although I do encourage it. I still am a supporter of my old high school show choir. I helped develop a show choir in college, my freshman year. And actually, my daughter, when she started having issues with bullying, that was what I encouraged her to turn towards as well. And she ended up writing a song with me about that for anti-bullying and abuse. And that was great. And some of her other friends, even the ones that didn't sing and weren't involved in music, were involved in the music videos. Nice. And they helped spread it that way. So
nice. Now that song's called Victim. I love that song. It's a really good song. And watching you perform live in Georgia, Atlanta was just amazing with your daughter. I was so enthusiastic. Way to go. What a good mom.
Thank you. Yeah, she had a ball. It's funny though, because for a while watching me, she was like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll teach you what you want to know. And she went through the whole process, and now she's like, yeah, Mom, I'm going to stick to musical theater. I was like, okay, that's all right too.
Well, she's young. She's young.
Yes, she is. So now she wants to be a Broadway singer, which I'm good with that too. Whatever she wants to do, as long as she's enjoying it, that's what's important.
Show tunes are pretty amazing.
They are. They're really hard too.
They were really hard. Yes, I remember my days of learning the show tunes, doing classical voice training. So yes, they are very hard to learn. What is the secret of your music? What keeps you going? What's your space?
Can you expand on that? What do you mean by secret?
What is your secret of your music? How do you write? Like, what is your draw to have? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with your music?
Well, so how I write my music comes in a couple of different ways. I always carry a notebook with me and pen and paper, no matter where I am, because sometimes I'm with somebody and something hits via a conversation or something I've seen, and I'll start to jot down lyrics. Oddly enough, I also keep a notebook at my bedside table. I have had full-on concerts with music. I still don't remember half of it in my dreams, and then I'll wake up and I'll remember the last song that I performed, and I'll really quickly start writing down chords and lyrics and try to remember all of that, and then it transposes over the next day into whatever I mess around with my piano on. And so we go about it that way sometimes. And then there's the collaborative effort. So sometimes I'll sit down with my bandmates and be like, hey, we should write a song about, because this was a good idea. And they'll be like, okay, well, where should we, take this? And so we'll start with some chord structure and try to build it from there. Or sometimes it's just about stuff that I like. Anime Baby was my first what I call nerd song. It's something that I just really love is anime and cosplay. And I thought it would be cool to share that side of myself with everyone, and that was the best way for me to do it, was through a song.
Nice. So if you would consider, what would be your greatest success and what were your biggest learning moments?
My greatest success would probably be the day I finally figured out how to start playing chords on the guitar. That music is a lot of work. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you like to sing / write lyrics, you're gonna have to learn instruments at some point. And you can't really see too well, but like I've got drums in here, I've got guitars in here, I've got my piano in here. You end up playing with a whole bunch of different instruments for different sounds. And at some point you have to break down and just start taking lessons because there's only so much you can figure out on your own. But so that was probably my biggest success, is when I could finally start transposing things on the guitar. Because it's way easier to carry than a keyboard or a piano.
Way easier.
And biggest breakthrough would probably be, I think it was my second or third song in studio, when I finally learned that I needed to be able to let things go and trust my producer. Sometimes you go in with a song sounding one way, and because it's how you originally wrote it, you really get stuck on, this is my baby, this is the sound, this is what it is. And it's really difficult to take a step back and go, it's okay though, let's hear what someone else thinks it might sound like if we did this, or if we changed this, or let's try moving the chorus from here to a little bit sooner and take this part and move it to the back. And I think with Return to Sender was kind of my breakthrough moment, where we went in with it sounding one way, it came out sounding completely different, but then I liked it so much more when it was done. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, this actually is more what I had in my head. I just didn't know how to bring it out. Nice. And that's when I started reaching out to more and more different people too now when I write songs, so that I can get more opinions and more ears on it and more ideas. Even if I don't end up using all of them, then I have new perspectives to use in other things moving forward, which has always been really fun too.
Nice. So if you could give yourself advice from what you know now and give yourself advice to where you started 20 years ago, what would you give yourself advice for?
Don't listen to other people. That would probably be the strictest one. I had some really great opportunities when I was younger, and I didn't take them out of fear. And it wasn't my own fear. It was fear that other people instilled in me, telling me I wasn't tough enough for the industry. I wouldn't make it. I was too soft. I was too inexperienced. And looking back, if I wouldn't have listened to them and I would have just pushed forward, I probably would be even further along than I am now. And I even took a step back from music for a period of time and went silent because of some of those people. And I really kicking myself now because of it. So that is one strong piece of advice I would give myself, is to trust myself more and listen to others less.
I think that you said the real secret for ourselves.
Yeah. But it's one of those, hindsight is 20/20, and with age comes wisdom, right?
You can only move forward.
Yeah.
You can only move forward. So I love that advice. Trust yourself more, have faith in yourself, and just go. You only live once, right?
Right. There's no reason to be afraid. What's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody will say, nah, don't really like it. Thanks, but no thanks. You're not any worse for wear, and you're going to find a lot of people that do like what you're doing. And then, you're making those people happy, and you're making yourself happy. And, why miss out on that just because one or two people don't believe in you?
And you find your own way, and you find your own people.
Yeah.
And speaking of finding your own people, there's a special thing that I've heard about you. I hear that you're a real mermaid.
Yes. Well, okay, more in the sulky sense, since it comes on and off. Yes, I am a professional mermaid. I don't do it too much right now anymore. My music has kind of taken over, but I have more mermaid tales than I probably should admit to. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a Mertailor addict, which is one of the manufacturers. He's absolutely brilliant. But yes, I have like a full silicone tail in my closet, which weighs about 35 pounds dry. You don't want to know how much it weighs wet.
Wow.
And I learned how to do apneic breathing and like posing underwater for pictures and the tank stuff. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's actually really good exercise too.
That does sound like a lot of fun.
It really is. A lot of the people, so we have a quote unquote pod, because apparently that's what you call a group of mermaids, here in Washington. And there's about 250 of us now.
Wow.
And I think about half of the women/men in the group got involved for fitness exercise reasons. It's really good core strengthening, helps your abs.
Nice.
Some other people, when they found out it helps with breath control, other vocalists, they got involved recreationally to help with their breath support for their performances here. And yeah, it's addictive. It's just fun. It's a silly way to get exercise and hang out with friends and, have a good time.
Nice. Well, I'd love to take a class on that. But so would that make you like a siren?
Possibly. I mean, I like to think I'm not the evil kind, but
Forgive me, I had to ask.
No, you're fine. No, ironically, on our next the next rock EP/CD that's coming out, we have a little 30-second thing called Siren Song that actually does sound like that. And it was something that was created as a backing for another song that's on that EP. But then it was so cool by itself, we decided to pull it and use it as like a prelude thing leading into the actual song. So that's something that'll be coming out later this year. But yeah, I'm just a geek. It's fine.
We love your music, Brandy. And, we love watching you perform. It's just a wonderful thing. Really enjoyed your performance on February 2nd. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I loved watching you too. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Brandy. I really appreciate that. It's been a while since I've performed. So, but you go back to that classical voice training and you just, try that out, right? You never forget. Just like you said, it's like riding a bicycle. You just never forget how to ride a bicycle once you get back on again. Which brings us to, I think you've got a new music video out. It's called Second Chance at Love. So what we're going to do is if you want to introduce your Second Chance at Love, we're going to put your video here And then we're going to continue on with some hard-hitting questions about what entertains Brandy.
Okay, well, yep, this is from my new country attempt, we'll put it that way, which we're calling the Yellow Rose Project. And the song is called Second Chance at Love.
Nice. Thank you. Brandy, next part is about you, personally about you. We're going to ask you some questions about you, Brandy. What entertains you? Because this is an entertainment show. We want to know what entertains you. So first question, Brandy, how many languages do you speak? And do you sing in other languages?
Well, or that I know?
No?
So English is my predominant one. When I was young, I used to speak a little bit of Sicilian. I don't remember much other than the words I'm not supposed to use now, ironically. I know a little bit of French, and I know a little bit of Japanese, mostly from watching my animes, and a little bit of Mandarin Chinese.
Nice.
And then as far as singing, Anime Baby, we threw some Japanese phrases in for laughs and giggles, partly because in a lot of K-pop and J-pop songs, they like to sing it in Korean or Japanese, and then they'll do like one phrase in English. So I kind of turned it around and did that, except with English, and then throwing in the Japanese because I thought it would be fun. Nice. And then we are currently working on a song called Dancing with the Devil, which has a Latin feel to it. And it is going to be released in English. However, as a bonus track, we have someone helping with the translations, and I'm going to be performing it in Spanish on the CD when it comes out. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's fun.
Spanish is such a luscious language. It's like Italian and French, the romantic languages. To be able to sing in those languages is just such a treat. You get the big vowels, you get to roll the R's, you get to really get that vibrato going in your voice. I love singing in Spanish and Italian and French.
Yeah, the only Italian I ever did was for my music theory classes and my juries. They used to make us do some opera. But not gonna lie, I didn't know half of what I was singing half the time. So say I know it would be a stretch. I have performed it, but yeah, the language itself, it's beautiful, but I didn't understand most of it. Plus I get it confused now with all the other ones.
Okay. So you've mentioned that you've lived in Sicily before as a kid.
I have family there. I didn't live there. I just have family. I visited.
Oh, okay. Where have you lived in the world?
Predominantly in the U.S., Ohio, Florida, California, here in Washington State now. And then I did spend some time overseas. We lived in Bern, Switzerland for about 3 months. And while there, we traveled to, Paris, the Swiss Alps, down to Barcelona, just all over the place where we could for a weekend, and just to check it out and see what it was and how the different cultures lived out there. So
very cool. Now, if you're going to watch a film, are you going to watch it at home, or do you want to go out?
Oh, I'm a homebody. If I can, I'll stay inside because that's where my fuzzy socks are and my blanket and my space heater. And I'm going to get all curled up and I'm going to have a cup of hot cocoa and I'm going to be sitting on my sofa watching it. If I can only watch it in theaters, that's where I'll go. But for the most part, I love being at home with my family and just being relaxed and having a good time with other friends and family around me. So,
and you've got kids, don't you?
I do. I have 2. Well, okay. I have 2 that are mine. I apparently have adopted quite a few, and they come to the house on a pretty regular basis. Nice. But 2 are originally mine. I have a now 16-year-old son, and my daughter's about to turn 14. And then I have my 2 4-legged babies, Lapras and Coco, which are my dogs.
Nice. So, music. What would be your favorite genre? I think it would probably be rock and roll.
I do really love classic rock, 80s rock. That's probably where my heart lays. I'm also a big Motown fan. Aretha was my idol growing up. If I could have learned to perform and sing like anyone, she would have probably been the person that I picked when I was younger. So nice. just amazing.
It's just amazing. I just love Aretha Franklin. Yeah. What's your favorite song from Aretha Franklin?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably Natural Woman.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Really good.
So I asked you about media. So, and I think that you mentioned that you like to be a homebody. So, all right. So you don't go out and do theaters or concerts or
Oh
bars
no,
or.
I do. I do.
Oh,
I just I like being at home.
yeah.
I actually do try to support our local theaters here as much as I can, especially the ones that offer youth programs. I go to their galas and try to support their. I love musicals, so I will go to musicals when I can. I have a slightly darker sense of humor, so while I do like the classics and I like some of the more modern ones like Hamilton and Seven that just came out, I'm always going to fall back on things like Beetlejuice. Or Hades Town. Those just kind of, if it makes me laugh, I'm going to enjoy it. And I have a little bit of a darker sense of humor, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I love it. And I used to be a competitive swing dancer when I was much, much younger. So swing dancing and ballroom dancing and stuff is also something that I enjoy. I just don't have the time to do it much anymore.
Well, it's tough when you're managing a music career and a family and dogs and managing a house. You know, these things all get to be pretty predominantly, our major focus. So it's such a treat to get back to music and back to who you are, right?
Yeah.
It's not simple.
Yeah, it's not simple. It's a balancing act, that's for sure. I always say family is first, and that includes my pets, and then my music, and then it's my recreation. So, gardening, dancing, theater, stuff like that.
That's great.
So, if you're considering art, do you like painting? Do you like photography? Do you like metal art, structural art, art about nature? What kind of art do you like?
I appreciate all of it. I can't do all of it, but I personally, I like painting. I've done a few of those sip and paint classes, and I'm absolutely terrible, sober or with alcohol. So I've given up on doing that in my home. I'll purchase paintings from other people, so I don't have to hide them in my closet. And I love gardening. I love woodworking. Again, I'm not the best at it, but I've built a few arbors, here and there, built some flower boxes, made a bridge over our creek in the back, like little things. But I have a strong appreciation for people who can do them at a much more proficient status, I guess, a more professional status. I had a friend a long time ago that used to do the iron working and could weld, and that was always amazing. I'm too afraid of the tools to ever even attempt that. And I've done fingers. Ooh, yeah, no, I did. That scares me. And I've done one glass blowing class, and I will never do it again because I thought I was going to pass out from the heat by the end. So that is definitely not something I'm going to be pursuing. So I'll stick with the music and the gardening for the most part. But I do love supporting other local artists, and I have random art pieces, both metalwork and paintings and woodworking and things like that throughout my house. Nice. If I see something and I can help by having it and I like it, I try where I can.
Right. So in terms of lifestyle, do you like being more in nature or do you like being more in the city?
More in nature. I'm a little bit of a beach bum. I love my recharge time by the ocean, by the water, but I also love being in the woods and hiking and splashing through creeks. And that's kind of where I grew up in Ohio. There were a lot of woods back there. We grew up learning about the different plants, the medicinal properties and all that. So that's something that really stuck with me.
Very cool. So the medicinal plants. So when you're gardening, then does that mean that you're gardening and growing food, or just gardening and growing flowers?
Both. I have a large garden that I try to grow food in. The trees do much better than most of the other stuff I plant right now. But the other thing is I have lavender throughout the entire yard. That's
Nice.
something I love. Chamomile, echinacea. I love having flowers that have double purposes. So things that I can make teas out of if, I decide to, or things that have medicinal properties. It's always kind of peace of mind to know that they're back there in case they're needed. I don't think I ever will. But yeah, it's fun. I like having a good mix of the two. And a lot of the things that are really pretty are also really edible. So why not?
Sure. Yeah. There's violets too. Violets are also edible.
Yes. Have you ever made violet jelly?
No, I haven't. That sounds delicious.
Try that sometime. It's really good, actually. You have to pick a ton of violets, though. Oh my God.
Well, that's like saffron. You have to pick 100 flowers to get
tiny
little threads, right? Yeah. So do you grow any fruits and vegetables as well, or do you just strictly okay.
Yeah, we have we have 5 different apple trees in the back. We have a couple Asian pear trees, some cherry trees. I've given up on the peaches. They can't survive here. They keep getting tree rot and dying. A lot of snap peas, corn, green beans, tomatoes, obviously, herbs like basil, oregano, all the standards for the most part. And then it varies from year to year how well they do.
Oh, yeah. Well, tomatoes can have some good years and they can have some bad years. Yeah. I think a peach tree that would do really well is something called a frost peach.
I had one of those. Washington is really wet. And for some reason, it gets like this mold disease that then rots the plant. And it dies back pretty much to the ground. And then it tries to start over. And once it gets to about a decent height where it looks like it might start to produce fruit again, then it usually dies again.
Really?
I have one in the back that keeps dying back and regrowing and dying back and regrowing. And I'm just going to let it sit there. And whatever it does, it does. But yeah, I've given up. I've tried 3 or 4 different ones and they just never took. Most of them died and never were able to come back out of the ground. This one just keeps trying, so I'm letting it.
Mm-hmm. I've heard if you try to plant mustard near it, or that can actually really help. And the other one, mustards, or what's that orange flower?
Like marigolds? Yeah.
Yep. If you plant marigolds near your peach tree, that would probably help out with your rot situation quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll try that. I've got marigolds all over the garden elsewhere, so easy enough to transplant some over.
I love gardening too, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Growing up, I debated whether or not I wanted to do that as a living.
Well, yeah. I wish that somebody hadn't told me to grow up and get a job. I wish that I'd followed the music right from start. How about you?
To a certain extent, yeah. I wish I would have stuck with it and pushed through. But reality side of it, with how much the music industry has changed, it's really hard to make a viable living off of it. So you almost have to have a plan B and then use that as your basic income and then have the music on the side. Yeah. Which is really sad to have to say, but labels don't really support their artists the same as they used to. And the industry's changed so much. It went from people stealing music illegally to now they buy a streaming service and they listen to whatever they want, and the artist kind of gets cut out of it. So
it's really unfortunate. One of the things that used to happen though with the labels is that they would just take out a big loan and you would get an advance, and you had to actually make enough money to cover that loan. If you didn't make enough money to cover that loan, you would have to repay the label. So, there's good points, there's bad points. I kind of like the fact that we've gone into a little bit more of an indie kind of area, but I'm going to go back to you because we want to find out more about you. So do you like to cook at home or do you like to go out?
I like to cook at home. I like doing a lot of clean cooking, and when we go out places, there tend to be more spices and things added to it, maybe that I don't necessarily want or like. So I'm kind of simple.
So when you say clean cooking, what do you mean by clean cooking?
I like cooking with real basic ingredients, meats, vegetables, a little bit of seasonings, but I try to stay away from a lot of the processed stuff as much as I can.
I see.
And in the summers, it's great because with the vegetable garden, most of our vegetables and stuff come straight from the garden.
Nice.
So whatever we have, that's what we cook with. And
Nice.
and then we just buy, the proteins elsewhere. Some of my neighbors have chickens and ducks, so occasionally we'll get one or two from them. And in the past, when I could find it, I used to get like a quarter cow and store it in a freezer in my garage, and then we use that as we went. But that's getting harder and harder to find now.
Yeah, everything's becoming more and more scarce, isn't it? So it's becoming more and more important to learn how to do your own vegetables, your own gardening, and cook at home for sure.
Yeah.
I really value that. Thank you very much, Brandy, for doing that. Next question. Okay. If you're going to go out somewhere, do you like to go locally, regionally, or internationally? You're going to go on vacation.
Oh, if I go on vacation?
Yeah.
Is Hawaii considered nationally? I'm a sucker for Hawaii. I love Maui. That I can't go there very often, but
Maui,
that is definitely my favorite vacation spot. But I do try to, when I go out for fun, I try to stay local as much as possible. For the music, we'll sometimes drive, to Oregon or Northern Cal. But for the most part, we stick around, the Seattle area, Issaquah area. We'll go up as far north as like Everett,
Nice.
go down to Tacoma, all over Washington. But we try to stay here if we can.
Nice. So when you go to Hawaii and you go to Maui, do you bring your tail?
I do. I get to chase fishies in a fishy tail. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
Exactly. What do they think about your tail?
It's hit or miss. A lot of them are still like, what is this horrible abomination coming at me? Let me get away as fast as possible. Other times, like when I went to Mexico, some of the larger like bluefin tuna and stuff, they actually get curious and they'll let you swim right up to them and they'll be like, oh, okay, well, this thing has a tail and it's not moving the same direction as a shark, so I think it's safe. Mammals still have kind of like that up and down movement. For the most part, we're, not a threat if the fish is large. And I don't know if you've ever seen a blue tuna, but those suckers are like 8-9 foot long. Yeah, they're huge. So here I'm coming up and they're like, I could take that. It's fine.
Well, do you feel nervous when you're swimming with a fish that big?
Oh, no, not at all, actually. It's so peaceful that you kind of forget that you're in their world. Okay. And I've never had any of them show any sign of aggression, at least not while I was swimming in that form. So I've never really been overly concerned. I've seen a couple of sharks here and there, but they've always, kept their distance and left me. And I mean, I always go with other friends if I'm swimming that way because it's a safety thing. They've never bothered us. I've chased a couple of manta rays. Things like that. We try not to get too close to them because we don't want to bother them.
Do the dolphins come near you?
I haven't had any yet. I did see some spinner dolphins in the distance once, but I didn't go near them because they were sleeping. Certain forms of dolphins actually sleep during the day, and you can tell because they're kind of vertical in the water.
Oh, cool.
And they've now passed some regulations, thankfully, not to harass them because it really messes them up when you wake them up during their sleep cycle. So it's cool to see them. But the one time I did kind of run into a pod of them, they were sleeping. And I just was like, yeah, I'm not going to mess with you guys. You could kick my butt, no problem. You need your rest. I know how I am when I haven't had my sleep. We're not going to go there. I'm just going to stay over here. I'll look from afar.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Did you get to swim with turtles?
I have. I've swam with sea turtles. Was terrified. That's another creature you're not supposed to touch.
That's right.
But they don't know that. And so sometimes they'll come up right under you and just be like, and be like, oh, hi there. And they're just like, oh, there was someone there. Okay. And then they just swim around and you kind of look around and you're like, did anyone see that? I swear to God, I didn't touch them. It wasn't me.
The turtle touched me. I didn't touch the turtle.
It came to me. I had nothing to do with it, I swear.
It wasn't me.
Because they actually have some pretty severe fines in place for if you're caught messing with the turtles too. So it was one of those things that's like, nope, didn't do it. I promise. But yeah, they're absolutely beautiful to watch, especially under the water. They're so graceful and they're fast. I never realized how fast turtles were underwater until I saw them myself. Because on land, they're so like just gonna get there, and then the water, they're just like, oh, I want that. Okay, I'm going this way. Tune. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. That just happened. Okay, well, they see food. They move pretty darn quickly.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So where would be your dream vacation if you were going to go somewhere? Dream vacation.
Is it sad that I don't know? Maybe South America or the Galapagos. I've never been to the Galapagos Islands, and it's really difficult to get passes to be allowed to visit there. So I think probably one of those areas. I love watching nature, and there's a lot of animals and stuff out there I've never seen. So that would probably be really cool.
Nice. Oh, we all love animals. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences of swimming. You had me really entranced. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll let you borrow a tail sometime. We'll get you out there.
Yes, I'm coming down to Seattle, girlfriend. I'll be there.
We got it.
I did take lifeguarding, so I am a strong swimmer.
You'll be fine.
And I can do the butterfly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Brandy. So next question, most important question of all the questions I'm going to ask of you tonight. Where can we find you? How do we find you?
Well, online you can find me at brandywynemusic.com. BRANDIWYNE music.com, or you can go to bigrecords.world and scroll down under their signed artists and find Brandywine. And if you click on that, it'll have all of our listed information as well.
Thank you. And of course, you can hit YouTube and subscribe. And thank you so much, Brandy, for being our first guest.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun. I look forward to seeing everybody else that you pull on here too, because now I'm going to get all their juicy secrets.
There you go. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think our name means? ICFB STAR Entertainment.
ICFB. It's FB for Facebook. I don't know if that's trademarked or not. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
You'll have to tell us.
There you go. Or we could keep you guessing.
Oh, that's no fun. Then I won't sleep. I'll be Googling it all night.
All right. I see. Italian, Canadian, Fear Escape, Big Records, and Star is actually Hindi for Tara.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I see. Yeah. Now I know something in Hindi because I didn't know any words in Hindi.
You do. Tara. It means bright star. All right. And then we have our tagline, and I'm going to say it, and then maybe you can say it, and then maybe we can say it together.
I can try.
Okay. Ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I see, you see, we see. Grazie.
I see, you see, we see. Grazie? Is that it?
You got it. Ready?
Perfect.
Okay.
Shall we try it together, my friend?
Okay. I can try it. We'll give this a go.
Okay.
All right,
we'll count you in. So
okay.
See my finger? 1, 2, 3.
I see.
You
see.
We
see.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate you, Brandywine.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys too. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you today. It was fun.
Thank you. Grazie.
Grazie.